All right, this is part of the ODU tutorial series. This is an introduction to podcasting. So, what is a podcast? Well, a podcast is a series of digital media files that are released episodically and downloaded through a process called syndication. Okay, so what does that mean to you? Well, here is iTunes, which is by far the most popular software to catch podcasts, pod catching software. And once you have loaded up iTunes, you can start subscribing to podcasts. As you can see here, I have subscribed to several different podcasts. I have several episodes in here. Podcasts are created by individual people, fans of different things, as well as companies for promotional ideas and also educational entities. So, for example, here is a podcast by the fans of the TV show Lost. Okay, I don't know if you can hear that through the screen capture software, but anyway, these are fans of the TV show Lost. They record a podcast, they put it out every week or so, and then I subscribe to their podcast, and because I'm a subscriber, which is free, whenever they put out a new episode, iTunes will download it for me automatically. I don't have to do anything. Okay, most of the podcasts are audio podcasts, but you can also have video. Here's one from CNN. Okay, all right. So there's that, and then there's also you could also have, for example, PDFs. Here is an author who has written a book and is podcasting the book as PDF format. All the chapters of his book are coming out one at a time in a serialized format, and the author is doing this to gain an audience and to get recognition and whatnot. So there are many different options. You can have audio, video, text, and let me show you next how to subscribe to a podcast. Okay, so here, for example, is a site that has a podcast dedicated to fans of science fiction called Slice of Sci-Fi, and you'll see here they have set up a iTunes subscribe with iTunes link. So all you have to do with that is just click on it one time, and it will load up iTunes. Okay, and then you can just subscribe. I've already subscribed to this one. I don't need to do that. You can also subscribe manually. Let me show you how to do that. So here is a podcast that I created myself, and I just put up the file on my website, and I didn't really have time to make an iTunes link. There's a little bit more program that goes into that. So if you wanted to subscribe to my podcast, you could just copy this URL and then go to iTunes, go to Advanced, subscribe to podcast, and then you could just copy and paste it in there and just hit OK, and then you'll be subscribed, and the most recent podcast episode will start downloading for you. Okay, so that is what a podcast is, and how you subscribe to one and how you use the podcast. Okay, now how do you make your own podcast? Well, since most podcasts are audio podcasts, I'll show you how to make one of those. If you have a Mac, then your best bet is GarageBand here, which comes free on all the new Macs, and is excellent because it's tailored for podcasting. If you go to New, you'll see that it has a Create New Podcast template built in. Okay, you save the file. Okay, and then you just select your track, hit record. With your microphone attached, you start talking, and as you can see, you can have tracks for multiple people. You can add sound effects and whatnot. Okay, once you're done talking and you've edited it and you're ready to export it, you can either save it as an MP3 file. If you have GarageBand again and you have an iWeb account, you could send it right to your podcast to your iWeb account. Okay, if you don't have GarageBand or you are on a PC or something, another low cost or zero cost alternative, which is cross-platform, is Audacity here, and it's simply a standard audio recording software. You'll need to download the MP3 plugin that's on the same website as this and install that. But again, you just hit record, have your microphone attached, start talking. Once you're done, you can edit a little bit, and once you're done with your editing, just export it as an MP3 file. If you want to do a video podcast, then you would edit your video and save it as an MPEG-4 video file. There's lots of different software out there to convert your video files to MPEG-4 format, and your PDFs are just standard PDFs. Okay, so now we've got our file. Here it is. What are we going to do with that? Well, first thing, we need to put this file up on the internet. Okay, so you can put this file up on your own website. So for example, here is my website, and these files here are ones that I just put up on my own website, and I host everything myself. There are other sites, for example, you might want to look at FeedBurner here, or WordPress now has a podcasting plugin or whatever. I don't use these online tools. I like to host my own things, but you can also find different hosting sites. So once you have, let's say you have uploaded your podcast files up there, now how do I get iTunes to download the files for me? Well, you'll need one more thing, and this also has to go up onto a website, probably the same place that you're hosting your files from. It's called an RSS file. Stands for really simple syndication file. And as you can see here, here's the one I created that refers to one of these. Well, actually, this is just a test one I created, but this might look a little bit complex, but it's just a standard text file. It's in the XML format, so you could go online and find out more about XML if you want to see about the syntax of it. And it's as you can see here, you have your channel, and then you have the title of your podcast, the description, the link to it, the language it's in, copyright, your iTunes author stuff. And so it's all pretty basic. It might look intimidating if you're not into programming, but it's all pretty basic stuff. And then every time I create a new item, a new podcast entry, this bit of code here describes your podcast entry, your most recent file. So all I do is when I create a new one, I just copy this section of code here, and I just paste it in, and I change all the stuff to reflect the name of my current file, and I'll change the description to reflect what it's all about. Just go into here, and you can find information about how to create these RSS files online. There's many different sites out there that will tell you about the syntax of it. Specify the link to it, and tell it how many the length, the size of the file, and the type. In this case, it's audio, and you could have video or PDF again. All right, and give it a date and whatnot, and just save this RSS file and save it up to your web server or whatever. And once you've done that, that's pretty much it. Once people subscribe to your site, they will or they subscribe to your podcast, it will show up in here, and as you can see, it's already done that. Here's some animation I did, some weird stuff. And so anyway, that is the basics of it, and I will be talking more about how to get into this. If you don't want to create the RSS file yourself, if you don't feel comfortable with that, there's different sites. For example, here's Podcast Alley, which has a lot of different features about podcasting. And as you can see, here's podcasting software, software to download podcasts, software with music for your podcast, and software to create podcast feeds. Okay, the file I showed you here, the RSS file, is referred to often as a feed. Okay, because it feeds the content to you. All right, so you can find software online that will do it for you in a nice little interface, and usually you have to pay some nominal fee, around $30 or so, for said software, but you can do it yourself just in a text editor. Okay, so that is what the basics of podcast are, and how they operate, how you subscribe to them, how you create them, and how you host them. And I will be following that up if there are other tutorials that need to be made on this topic.